It's Doomsday! Once again, so many Doomsdays. But then one gets predicted every fortnight or so anyway, doesn't it? I'm just keeping up with the times. That's right, so many messages, so many requests to keep Doomsday as fortnightly programming rather than a monthly endeavour. And I'm just awful at saying no to you, so here we are! Doomsday back where it belongs, except now appearing every 2 Fridays to make space for some new stuff coming on Sundays. So, put them feet up, stretch them toes out, and allow your old pal Fraggers to do all the heavy lifting as we go marauding into Doom 2 Hell on Earth, the 1994 sequel to the revolutionary first-person shooter that we finished tearing apart just last month. Ultra violence, of course! Anything less would be an insult to this ludicrous tornado of blood and shotgun noises. We begin in the entryway. You be sure to turn around, your old pal Chain is waiting for you. Get it down, you Chainy! You hungry little monkey. Look at this corridor of fools, expecting a shootout, and instead meeting a wide-eyed lunatic sprinting towards them, dread tool in hand. Oh shit. Oh shit. Nearly fucking embarrassed myself there, didn't I? Nearly killed myself on the first map. That's literally never happened to me in all my years of playing this game. Now, even in this tiny map, there's a full 5 secrets to find, and to get one of them to open, you need to take a running jump over the light fitting on the floor here. We'll grab that in a second. Now, you know the great thing about the chainsaw is that if you use it in a death match, your opponents can hear it chugging away from across the map. Get down from there, you hooligans. You've got to throw the switches in this order. Or the secret in the back here won't open. There we are. And down here, you'll see what hopping over the light fixture buys you. First level rocket launcher. My penis, swollen with arousal. How? The last secret out here in the beer garden. A gang of imps having a mother's meeting, or perhaps trying to figure out how to use this early shotgun, which you'll get right near the start of the next map anyway. Still, that's 1 minute 20, and our 100% run is off to the best possible start as we go wandering into map 2, the Underhalls. Grab this shit here. Howdy boys! You gotta love these early levels where you can just carve through everything like a fucking sandwich. Whoa! Your feeble red key bars cannot save you, you pitiful fool. I could have waited until we came back, but I detest smugness in video game enemies. I do. We'll just clear some of these bastards out so they don't double back on me. Alright, in here, we get to grab ourselves a very sexy weapon indeed. But beware, it's well guarded. So well guarded. Whew, nearly gang. This is the super shotgun. Combat shotgun, sawn-off shotgun, whatever, everybody's got their own name for it. But I'm sticking with super shotgun because it really fucking is. It's the first and last new weapon in the game, but it more than makes up for it by being an absolute death cannon that, with proper positioning, can clear out a room of irritating zombie men, sergeants, and imps in 2 or 3 devastating shots. It drinks from the same ammo pool as the regular shotgun, which means that if you're too trigger happy with it, then it's very easy to leave yourself in the ship with no ammo because it fires 2 shells per round. But the trade-off is that damage-wise, you're getting very good value for money, as a regular shotgun blast will spray 7 pellets at your target, whereas a lead letter from the super shotgun will spit out 20 for a staggering maximum of about 300 hit points, making it slightly more powerful than even the dreaded rocket launcher. The beast is not without its flaws, however. The super shotgun is incredibly impractical for long-range attacks, possessing a much wider spread than the regular shotgun, and it takes a goddamned age to reload, unless you're playing the Saturn port, which reloads it bafflingly quickly. Now, on the subject of reloading, you may also notice that the super shotgun is the only gun in the game that actually has a reload animation, which by definition means that Doom Guy has customized his pistol to be able to hold a clip of up to 400 fucking bullets. No wonder you never see the bottom of it. Damn thing must have a tripod on wheels, like a weaponized Zimmer frame. You cycle between super shotty and regular shotty with the same weapon select key, like the fist and the chainsaw. But oddly, if you manage to pick up the super shotty first and then change weapon, you won't be able to reselect it until you pick up the regular shotgun, which is very possible to do in the first couple of maps. Okay, all aces again there. Nothing giving us any grief so far. Let's move on to map 3, the Gantlet. Not actually a spelling error. We'll tell you why and how in just a moment. Now, this one will give you some grief if you're just casually wandering into the series for the first time on Doom 2, which is unthinkable to me, frankly. I physically cannot touch a game unless I've played any prequels it might have first. The thought of it makes my skin crawl. Truly does. But while there's certainly nothing in Doom 2 that's any worse than the original has to offer, certainly not anything from Thy Flesh Consumed, the difficulty curve comes at you much, much steeper here. And matters start to take a pretty swift escalation in this area right here. Now this will serve as your introduction to the first of the game's new enemies, the heavy weapon dude, aka Chain Gunner, aka Chain Gun Bob, aka Clyde, or if you want to go explicitly by what the Doom 2 manual tells you, the former Commando. They are another type of possessed or zombified marine and are by far the most deadly overall thanks to their chain gun, which they will use to hit scan the fuck out of you, either by very effectively sniping at you across large distances like this, or by tearing you to pieces at close range in numbers. They are especially dangerous due to their vicious speed, at which they detect you and then immediately start firing, quicker off the mark than even the dreaded spider demon, leaving you very little time to react and get yourself into cover. They have been known to hold their own and kill Hell Knights, Arachnotrons, Cacodemons, and if they survive the initial blast, even Revenants in close quarters, making them incredibly useful and somewhat easy to utilise for monster infighting, but still should be your absolute first priority the moment they pop on screen. Thankfully they do suffer from a high pain chance percentage, and as such their own weapons are easily their own undoing, as short accurate bursts from your chain gun will usually freeze them in place and take them down without too much fuss inflicted on your health. Lovely little strafe run secret here. Cannot believe I nailed that the first time. I never ever nail that the first time I try it. This is going to be a good run, lovelies. I can feel it. I feel it in my grundles. I'm nearly done here. I'm just saying hello to the Pinkies, making their opening appearance in Doom 2. Good to see you, boys. Pleasure indeed. Now shut up and die. Oh yeah, I said I'd explain the level name, didn't I? The Gantlet. Sounds like it should be the Gauntlet, but is in fact an old spelling of the same thing that comes from the Swedish word for lane. A gauntlet, as I'm sure you RPG fans know, is a French word referring to a heavy armoured glove, whereas a gantlet was a punishment, whereby the punishee would be made to run between two lines, while a gang of punishers either side would beat him with sticks. It was a form of military punishment known as xylocopia in ancient Greece, and the Romans used it as an execution method. Although, to be fair, what didn't they use as an execution method? Mob of fucking lunatics. Well, there we are, lovelies. Steaming ahead here with full honours as we move on to map 4, the Focus. And you better focus, goddammit, because you'll be able to see on the left there, this level's all about teaching you to protect your flanks, as these little shooting galleries of sergeants will happily cook you up a nice steaming shit sandwich if you let them. Take cover in the doorway and watch out for the two chain gunners at the end of the corridor who are just dying to perforate your vitals with angry swarms of bullets. You head around the corner and surprise! More of the same. The super shotgun would be a fine choice to deal with these filth bags were it not for the shutters, flinging themselves up and down like you're trying to win a fluffy prize at a fairground, so chain gun it is. Now you notice that Doom 2 is far, far more action-packed than the original game as we go, practically abandoning the more atmospheric elements of its predecessor in favour of more monsters and more high-concept style maps, the first of which we'll see in a couple of stages' time. And I think that's the template that a lot of people think of when they think of Doom as a whole, just non-stop, ultra-bloody, balls-to-the-wall action, so they find themselves surprised when they head back and play the original Doom to find that it does contain some deeply unsettling moments. Like the dark hallways where your senses abandon you and you can only hear the snarling and snorting of the spectres zigzagging towards you. Or even the first time you clap eyes on the cyber demon. No, I mean even the first time you hear the cyber demon with a terrible sound of its thunderous mechanical legs ringing through the entire stage like the sound of robot death stamping towards you. I'll switch out to the single shotgun here to save some ammo. as much as it pains me not to constantly use the beautiful beast that is its double-barreled brother. Now, one of the big changes in Doom 2's structure, as you may have already noticed from me referring to the maps by number and the straightforward jump into the action from the splash screen, is that this sequel does not follow an episode-style format. Instead, it's a straight run from map 1 to map 30, with 2 secret levels to find if you so choose, but there are still a handful of intermediate text screens that let you know what's happening with the old lot, which is just as threadbare as the originals, really. Follows on straight from the first game. You hop through the portal from hell, get back to Earth, find that the demons have got there before you and started to have their wicked way with things, so you take revenge the only way you know how. Violently. With bullets. There you go, that's your lot for this one. Get out of my way, you pink Billy no mates. No mourners for you. Didn't you hear, Billy? All your friends are dead. We're making pretty good time so far here, so let's push on to map 5, the Waste Tunnels. You know another reason this is inferior to the first game, don't you? They took the damn map screen away. I loved that map screen. Little visual aid of your blood-soaked rampage. What, were you too busy to draw a damn map? They didn't have one on Die Flesh consumed either. That I can forgive. Sort of. Not really. But that whole episode was just an afterthought anyway, so whatever, you know? But come on, you lazy motherfuckers. This is the sequel. Do a map. Map. In fact, despite the acclaim that Doom 2 gets these days, back in the day there was quite a strong undercurrent of disdain for it in comparison to its predecessor. There was a lot of criticism of the stage designs, of the soundtrack, and I do have to say, next to Doom's amazing soundtrack, not a great deal past or present stands up, but even taking on its own merits, this game's music is dog shit. It really is. It's got 2 Alice in Chains tracks on here, and I love Alice in Chains, honestly I do. Jerry Cantrell and Lane Staley with the audio accompaniment to easily half the evenings I spent strung out on pot as a teenager, but at their heaviest they had this mucky, grungy vibe as a soundtrack to getting sucked into a tar pit, and it just doesn't work at all in relation to what's happening on screen here. Like, there's a few tracks that are okay. The theme to the first level is probably the best of them. That basically lifts the melody from Hangar 18 by Megadeth, but you only hear it twice. Once at the start for like a minute and a half, and then again in map 15, but the rest of it just has this really listless, freeform ambient jazz feel to it, like a jam session, you know, like a couple of stoned college kids poking at a synthesizer while their body rolls out snare loops in the back that don't really fit with what they're doing. But anyway, yeah, Doom 2 didn't get quite the overwhelmingly positive reception that it's remembered for. Some people really look down their noses at it as an expansion pack rather than a standalone game, but look, when you're writing a title off against arguably the greatest first-person shooter of all time, your criticisms are ultimately going to mean very little, aren't they? Let's be honest. The moaning about the maps do carry a smidge of weight though. Just a tickle. I mean, this is crap. This is just opening doors and punching imps in the face. Knock knock. Hello? Ah! You got American McGee to blame for this one. And 3 before it. And the one after this. You might recognise the name from American McGee's Alice, which was pretty good from what I remember. I think that was the first game where he included his name in the title, wasn't it? That always struck me as a bit odd. I was always pretty sure his name was on the front of the box because it was unusual, rather than it being any sort of indicator of the quality of the product, because yeah, by and large, he's a competent level designer. He did some okay work on Quake and everything, but I mean, he's nothing to launch a game off of. Like, from the legendary American McGee, designer of such mediocre Doom maps as E4M4, you know? Doesn't quite hit the marketing department's G-spot for me there. But then you gotta remember, he was a 21-year-old kid when ID picked him up. And the only reason he was hired in the first place is because John Romero had gotten too big for his boots and was routinely deciding not to show up for work because he was too busy basking in his own fame and playing deathmatch with fans. So McGee was only ever really a void filler that stayed on by merit of John Carmack's approval, thanks to his ability to just churn maps out quickly and work until stupid o'clock in the morning. More on that later though, because just through this door at the end here, we have the second new Infernal cast member of Doom 2, the Hell Knight. The Hell Knight is the baby brother of the bigger, pinker Hell Baron from the first game, exemplified by its less illustrious colouring and higher pitched girlish shriek. But woe unto thee should thou take us this demon lightly, as it is just as fast and just as capable of inflicting just as much damage as its larger sibling, albeit with half the health, making it a fine target for your super shotgun. I think as a nod to the fact that they're from the same species, in the PC versions of the game the Hell Knights and the Hell Barons can't damage each other or be baited into monster infighting as a result of any of their fireballs going astray. But that did get junked for the Saturn and PlayStation ports, meaning that you could finally get the demonic equivalent of the Jeremy Kyle show going down for your amusement. Very nearly done here, just got to make a gargantuan strafe run into the secret area down there, polish off a few lurking spectres. Waha! I am nailing these strafe runs today. Like, I cannot overstate how often I shame myself attempting these. It really is a pitiful thing to behold. Other side, bounced off one of the spectres' heads there. Bit of unholy crowd surfing to while away the time. That's why you need a proper metal soundtrack to Doom, you see? Not this experimental ambient fucking nonsense. That should be another clean sweep of maxed out stats there. Happy day. We head now into the final level of the starport section, the Crusher, which is the first of what you call the real novelty concept maps in Doom 2. Away we go. You get a very rude and immediate introduction to another Doom newbie here, the Revenant. There he is. The Revenant is a 7-foot tall skeleton in battle armor, rocking a pair of shoulder-mounted rocket launchers with the ability to fire both straight and motherfucking homing missiles at you. More on him in just a second because this part's just great. You jump in the elevator, look outside, and holy jumping Jesus, is that a spider mastermind out there? The final boss from the first Doom just casually sitting on the 6th level of the sequel? What the fag? Thankfully that switch back there will activate the Crusher, from which this map is so named, that will do the majority of the hard work for you. Won't kill it outright though, so be sure to give it a few digs with a super shotty to send it off to the next world nice and prompt like. There we are. Off to heaven now, Spidey. There we go. Just about avoided a couple of tons of chain gun in the face there. Always reminded me of Krang from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as the spider mastermind. Because it is essentially just a brain on robot legs. Alright, so, the Revenant. For me, the first truly eerie new addition to Doom 2, and one of my personal favourite monsters. You can imagine how disappointed I was when I sat down with a Leonardo DiCaprio film expecting a showdown with rockets spewing gangly corpses, and all I got was snow and a horny bear. Even the way they move is creepy, this sort of gangly lurching stumble, shrieking and screaming in your damn face. It looks like they've got kind of a red undershirt going on underneath their chest armor, but that's actually meant to be blood. From where? Who knows? The skeletons? Unless somebody tried to force a beating heart and some other bits and pieces to keep them running back into their rib cages. Which is actually a truly disturbing thought that I hadn't considered before. So the Revenant is one of those panic mode monsters where in the majority of cases its immediate extermination needs to be sat way on top of your priorities. It's incredibly fast to attack and won't waste any time strafing around or any of that crap. It will fly straight at you and try to beat your face in with its vicious melee attack, all the while covering its advance with a barrage of rockets which, as already stated, come in both guided and non-guided flavours. So, what chance could you possibly stand against such a terrifying creature? Plenty, because to balance the Revenant's catastrophic offensive capabilities, it also has a number of glaring holes in its battle tactics. For one, it will only ever fire its rockets at you from long distance. Once it gets to within about mid-range of you, it's only interested in a suicide mission to wallop you in the face. unless you hurt it, at which point it will usually launch them at you in retaliation. Now what that means is that you can quite easily lead it around and use it as an incredibly deadly meat shield as it swings in vain at your head, making it a superb temporary ally to bait into monster infighting. It's not particularly powerful, and anything from a Cacodemon up will usually waste it, but hey, better them than you, right? Revenants are also kind of gigantic pussies, and any attack breach in their pain window will result in a fairly long stun animation as they rear back theatrically and scream, so if worst comes to worst, it's easy to pin a gang of them back with a chain gun or plasma rifle. Their homing rockets are the biggest pain in the arse, and they are capable of turning corners, so you can't just outright hide from them, but if you can dodge their initial pass, they do have quite a wide orbit before they come back around for another go, so they can quite easily be led into pillars, walls, or other monsters. Well, we're coming into a big old classic arena fight now. I'm just going to clear these spectres out of the little toxic moat before we get started, because they're the last things I want to charge into when the walls come down and the shit hits the fan. Alrighty. Grab the yellow key and run for your motherfucking life. You know me, I'm not a doorway lurker usually. I like to get into the thick of things properly, but we'll have to take the coward's way out here, I'm afraid. Fucking hell, that chain gunner doesn't want to go down, does he? Doesn't want to fight anything else either, so he's useless to me. Jesus Christ almighty, he's fucking immortal. There we are. Oh fuck me, another one's cropped up behind him now. Arseholes to this, I'm gonna go around and finish the job myself. Come here, you pain in the dick. Sit down. Thank goodness. Alright, it's just a little mop up now. There's the exit open, just a couple of secret bits and bobs to grab, and we'll be off. There's a new power up, the Mega Sphere. That one's kind of creamy coloured, gives you the combined benefits of a Soul Sphere and a Mega Armor, jacking both your health and armor ratings up to 200%. Tasty. It's the good armor as well, not the crappy green shit. There's another one through here. I just straight up forgot to grab this when we were here last, so little strafe run to drop you in here. And let the barrel do all the hard work for you. Put your feet up like. Barrel's got you covered. This is a nice little room of goodies here. I'm not sure why there's a Mega Armor as well as a Mega Sphere here. Seems a bit redundant, unless you need a dramatic mid-level boost of one. You want to come back for the other later. But anyway, that should be the last of that. And we'll get a little intermission text screen in a minute that will usher us over to the first of the hellish outpost levels. After the results screen, of course. That's telling us what we already know. That we're awesome. Yes, we're in this together, lovelies. Me and you. You have entered deeply into the infested starport. But something is wrong. The monsters have brought their own reality with them, and the starport's technology is being subverted by their presence. Ahead, you see an outpost of hell, a fortified zone. If you can get past it, you can penetrate into the haunted heart of the starbase and find the controlling switch which holds Earth's population hostage. And do that we shall, lovelies, on the very next episode of Doomsday. See you there.
Prehistoric bitch, how we do things downtown.